Hello there, Scapers. My name is Xenivilius of Pros, and it is Xenivilius, Xenivilious. Why am I saying that? It's because I want to say that I will never ask you for money, and this is my only account that I mainly use, Xenivilius, the way I spelt it, because someone with two letters the wrong way around is trying to scam people, pretending it's me and I need money for this series because I maxed out my item slots on the G or something, as you can see from these screenies from my friend who sent me these back in October. So don't entertain any such offers. I will never ask you for money, and I will never ask you for donations, so please do not give me anything, even if it is actually my account, if someone hacks it or something. This one isn't my account, it's someone trying to impersonate me, but yeah, just wanted to say that, get that out of the way, and just hope you guys don't fall for it, because I did talk to mod Steve W about it, and he couldn't really do much about it apart from me telling you guys not to entertain any such approaches. But anyway, on to the video. So the main objective of the video is to make one bill purely by buying and selling on the Grand Exchange, one bill profit. And obviously you're not meant to take advantage of any bugs or glitches or whatever. I need to show you guys everything I do. So all the losses as well as my profits, all the items I've flipped, how much I've made, how much I've lost, and so on. And hopefully this is the first, well, not the first, but this is how I'm going to become a pro flip merchant investor in RS. Hopefully the number one investor in RuneScape history. No, who am I kidding, guys? That is never gonna happen, but hopefully you guys will learn something from this series, as I learned many things about how not to flip and how not to merch. But anyway, my current total is 514 mil, over halfway there. That feels nice, that feels very nice, and hopefully I can capitalize on that progress in this video. So first things first, we're going to look at all the margin hunting I did, or margin finding I did. So first of all, we're going to look at all the losses I made trying to find the margins for items. There are a few interesting items here. I didn't realize the margins were so big for the Merciless Kite Shield, as you can see, and the margins were also quite big for the Dagannoth King's teleport, which I bought on day of release or maybe a few days after. Margins are always a bit iffy back then because you know, people are panic buying or panic selling these items. But anyway, the margins were also surprisingly very high for the Adamant Spear, which I was trying to get direct components out of for Biting 2 and Venom Blood in my Perkscape video, but that's something else. And these are all the things I tried to find the margins of before I actually bought the item. I made a 1.1 mil loss, which isn't too bad, to be honest. All things considered, that's not too bad at all. It's not like I bought a seismic one to try and find the margin, because that would have resulted in like a 5 mil loss. But anyway, let's move on to the first item that I made a profit of. Well, first item full stop, whether or not I made a profit. Alright, so the first item is Congealed Blood. I bought this close to sort of the release of the Vampirium quest, along with which these were released. I believe these are used for the blood essences, which are very powerful Scrimshaw-like items, and yeah, I made a killing off them. It took ages to buy and sell, but I did make a killing off them because, well, I guess I capitalized on it and I got a bit lucky as well. Can't really say too much more about that. I don't really know how good these essences are. I know they use that rots a lot, but apart from that, I don't think they use too much. I think the Berserk Blood Essence gets your stats up to 133, which is insane if you think about it, but it only lasts as long as you don't put it back down with bruise and whatnot. But a 19.6 mil profit, which isn't too bad, apart from the fact that it took me ages. And we bring our total up to 18.5 mil for this episode, so that's a very good start if I say so myself. Next up are the Crystal Tool Siphons, and this time I gotta say I forgot to actually screenshot the G history when I bought these tool siphons, but I pretty much went with this particular margin finding. So I bought it for 700,003 and sold it for just under 800k, so around 100k, sorry, yeah, around 100k profit each, which is pretty damn nice. And I bought 49 of them, so almost 5 mil profit from these, and that's not bad at all either. I'd say that I probably should have kept these because I believe they're a bit more than 1 mil right now, and they are very good for skillers. Especially I've been using them a lot because I've been doing a lot of Arc AFKing, but yeah, they are very good. They are very good, and they may be expensive, but they are very good to train your invention with if you're a skiller. Unfortunately, unfortunately only limited to woodcutting, mining and fishing, but oh well. Next up we have the Dagannoth King's teleport. Now I got a bit over ambitious with these guys because as you can see the margins are pretty insane. Bought for 100k, sold for 25k. And I thought I could make an absolute killing using that, but eventually they dropped pretty quickly after the day of release, and I only managed to sell them for about 32k, bought them for 26k, which is closer to a realistic short-term flip than what I generally do, because you might have noticed that I generally tend to wait a long period of time to be able to buy really low and sell really high without considering the margins on a day-by-day basis or hour-by-hour basis, which is what conventional flipping is about, I guess. You stand there at the G, you buy and sell items very quickly, and you make small but quick profit. Whereas I prefer to do the long but slow profit, and this one is more like the first thing I mentioned, which is what people might generally think flipping is. So that's good. 4.6 mil made. Probably took a few days to buy and sell these, which isn't too bad compared to how long usually it takes me. And yeah, we're up to 28 mil now. I believe this one was after the double XP weekend back in September, when I thought, hey, everyone's probably selling their ports gear that they made just for the XP, and I can probably get lucky by buying them cheap and selling them high. But unfortunately that didn't work out either. Well, it kind of did. I made 628k by just buying and selling 2 Deathloaded chaps, but you see that the demand for these is pretty low. So when I bought them for 1.7 mil and well, when I bought them for 2.8 mil and sold them for 1.7 mil, I believe the demand was quite high, and then when I managed to sell them, the demand happened to be quite low, which is why I only sold them for 2 mil rather than 2.8 mil. But hey, that's pretty nice profit, and I believe these are quite good for that as well, because they're rarely traded. I'd say they are quite good in terms of if you like to wait it out a bit longer like I do, and you're willing to sort of wait it out that long for like a guaranteed profit. Really, it's not like these are going to suddenly become really popular and people are going to mass sell them or mass buy them and plummet their prices or skyrocket their prices. It's not really going to happen, so they're really bankable, I'd say, but they do take time to buy and sell. Next up we have something slightly strange going on here. So I wanted to make fishing rod-o-matics and I needed more Swift components. This was back when I needed to make them, I believe, for the Dwarven blueprints, tech trees, for the comp requirement. Anyway, I decided to find the margins of those, and look at that margin I found. I bought them for 101k, sold it for 400. That basically means someone's monopolizing the market and no one wants to buy these guys, but I decided to buy them. And although in the end the margins weren't that impressive, when I did eventually buy and sell them, I did buy 116 and used up 101, I guess, and then sold 15 of those. So I made a nice 98k, but damn, that is some serious potential for massive gains to be made there if you have the patience to buy them and sell them slowly over a long period of time. So well, that's something to look out for in the future. But for now I made 98k, and that's not very significant, but what's significant is that there are items like this out there which you can exploit and monopolize. It may not be very ethical to do so, like probably seen from that one person who's probably selling them all at 101k and making absolute bank, but never mind. And now we come to the biggest flip or merch of this episode, guys, and that is a ghostly essence. Now I've been putting this off for a while because it hasn't really been selling. It's taken months and months and months to sell, but I did buy them at 3.3k a long time ago, 20k of them, and I sold them, not even all of them, I still got a ton to sell still, but I sold a lot of them, 12.6k of them, for 41 mil. So, well, I bought 12.6k for 41 mil. I sold them off for a 59 mil more, so I made almost 60 mil profit. That is crazy. I don't think you can really expect to do this right now. But again, this is an item that's not bought in massive quantities or very frequently. I believe it's used for the ectoplasmata, which acts like a bone crusher, I believe, for ashes and things from the undead. But this is more a case of getting lucky over time. I'm not sure what caused their prices to go up over time, but it has gone up over time, and because I've been patient, I've been able to make absolute bank from them. Still got a few more to sell, so I'll see how much I can sell those for. So that'll be in the next episode. But wow, I'm very impressed by this. This has to be one of the better flips or better merches, unintended non-intelligent merchants of this entire series, I'd say. And there's another one like that. This one is the Gizmo Dissolver. Again, the margins are quite favorable. In fact, I believe I once bought them for 2k and sold them for 10k, but that didn't really work out for me. So I just kept 9 for myself, bought 10,000 at 2.1k each, sold almost all of them except 9 for 5k each, made a nice little 28 mil, but it did take forever because who the hell buys massive quantities of these Gizmo Dissolvers? I mean, I used them mainly to remove my old gizmos when I was upgrading my gizmos on all my armors and my gear, and that was in the Perkscape video. But apart from that, I haven't really been using these Gizmo Dissolvers because, as the name suggests, they completely dissolve the gizmo. They don't even give it back to you, so that's not really good. But you know, why not, I guess. My Leveling Greaves, I've been quite lucky with these as well. Bought them for 6.7 mil each, 10 of them. Sold them for 7.8 or 7.8 mil each. So a very nice 10.9 mil profit there for not very much effort. Took me maybe a day or two to buy these and sell them. So that was a very nice flip. You can get lucky with these guys, similar to the Death Lotus chaps, but these are obviously more popular than Death Lotus because they're power armor and they degrade to dust and people use them a lot. So you might want to try these out as well. And our total's up to 127 mil, which is very good for this episode. Good going. Numbing roots are another obscure kind of item that I do like to buy and sell, but again they're quite slow to buy and sell, so it's more targeted towards people who are patient and want to invest over a long period of time. The margins are quite good. In fact, I did find the margins out yesterday by looking at the GE. Bought them for 20k, sold them for 11.7k. Again, they're not really bought or sold in large quantities, so it's easy to sort of make massive money from purely the margins rather than looking at the long-term effects. That's something I do need to do. I think in future episodes I do need to sort of look at the history, and I might do that just to get into the merging side a bit more rather than getting lucky or flipping big margin side of things, which is what I've been doing. But anyway, I forgot to sort of screenshot the buying of these, but I did buy 409 at around the same price as I sold that one at 11k. So if you consider that, then I made a nice little 3 mil from these. The margins are quite good. It's almost double. The margin is almost 80-90%, so that's pretty crazy. And that means you can take advantage of these. What they're used for? They're used for sort of clearing bleeds which aren't from Virago or KK. I mean, maybe they clear KK bleeds as well, I'm not sure, but they don't clear Virago bleeds, and you don't need to be able to use Freedom for that. So I guess you could use them at KK, and anywhere else you get blood, I guess. They're quite a useful little item that people don't really use, but I've talked too much about them. Let's move on. Okay, we come back to one of my favorite items to flip, the Scrimshaws. Again, the margins are quite good, and they do buy and sell fairly quickly as well because of how popular they are in PVM. So these are one of my favorite items to flip, not just the cruelty but Scrimshaws in general. You might have seen that over all the episodes I've done so far, and this one yielded me a nice little 32 mil profit. And I say little because it is little compared to how much I've made in the past from these. I'm not complaining, to be honest. 32 mil is pretty nice, and the key to these is again being patient, but I would say there's a bit of risk involved with these guys because their prices can go up and down over time as well. Sometimes it depends on boss rotations. For example, the Vampirism Scrim will go up when Araxor Path 2 and 3 is open, and the Blood and Nihil will also go up. They're also one of my favorite items to flip because of these, and the Scrimshaw of Elements may go up as well when it's Scopulus week at Virago. So things like that you got to look out for, but that's sort of short-term periodical changes in price, but there is also long-term changes due to external influences. You can't really predict those, so you got to be careful when you flip these over a long period of time because you may be affected by those. And I have made a bit of loss previously because I've been flipping these for way too long, over a too long a period of time, and that's actually resulted in me making a loss. But this time I was a bit lucky because I believe it went up a bit as well, from 1.7 mil to 2.4 mil by the time I bought all of them. I got a bit lucky there, but I wouldn't do it that way if I were you. Again, the Scrimshaw of Elements, again one of my favorite things to flip, and here you can see I followed my own advice for once, and I flipped within the small margin that it usually has without doing it for a long period of time, and I did make a nice 8 mil. Not as much as I made previously, of course, not nearly as much as I made previously, but at least it's safer, and if you do it quickly enough, it is generally guaranteed that you will make a profit. And finally, we do a nice little steel plate body flip, which took absolutely forever because the buy limit for these is 100 per hour, per 4 hours, sorry. So it took us 22 days just because of the buy limit to actually buy these, and not nearly as long to sell them, of course, because there's no limit when you sell items on the GE, only when you buy them. But yeah, as you can see, I bought them for 2.5k, sold them for 3k, and I made a nice 6 mil profit in about 3 weeks, which isn't great if you think about it, but they are quite bankable, and you can do this over double XP weekend as well. So if you want to buy them up now, I believe double XP will be sometime in February or March, so you can buy them up now and sort of sell them just a few days after or on the announcement of double XP weekend, when people will be mass buying these items for summoning training, and you can make quite a bit of money from that as well. People generally buy them on the forums as well, not generally on the GE because of the buy limit, so you can make even more of a profit on the forums if you're good at this kind of thing, but you got to have a lot of patience. Again, it's fairly consistent money and not really risky if you think about it, because there will always be demand for steel plate bodies from invention, from lower levels, from summoning training and so on. And boom, we are brought back down to earth. From 177 mil total, we are brought back down to 133 mil total due to one small flip gone wrong. Or one small merch gone wrong, shall I say. I'll call it a merch. I call it a merch because I was a bit stupid. So I bought these 50 dormant anima core helms at 1 mil each, just after the release of God Wars Dungeon 2, thinking these would go up. For whatever reason, I have no idea why I thought that. Maybe I thought they would be augmentable. Helmets will be augmentable soon enough. Not sure why I thought that, no evidence to back it up. But anyway, I was a bit naive there, and I was also a bit stubborn. I should have sold them off when I realized they were not going to go up. But I realized soon enough, well, not soon enough, but about 8 months later, that, well, I was wrong. My hunch was wrong, and they went back down to 10% of their original price, and I made a massive loss. Thank God I didn't buy any more than 50 of them, because if I bought any more, I would have made even more loss. So I made a 90% loss basically, and that has to be the biggest loss I've made on any single item on this series. So that's a big lesson learnt. Don't go by random hunches. Make sure you got a bit of evidence to back up your merches. For example, the Status Warhammer. I know a lot of people actually bought a lot of Status Warhammers before Bounty Hunter due to various bits of information telling them they would be buffed, and they probably made a killing, because before Bounty Hunter I believe they were like 40 mil or something, and now they are almost 300 mil I believe at the time of making of this video. So those guys made an absolute killing. So I got to be a bit more selective about my potential merches from new items. There's also a few other items that I've derped on. I haven't showed you guys yet because I'm still waiting. I'm being a bit patient because they haven't flopped as badly as this one. I'm hoping there's an update that comes out which will increase their price. It has happened with 1 or 2, as you saw in episode 5 I believe, with the Ice Nihil pouches, and hopefully that happens with these guys as well, but I'm not going to tell you guys. You probably saw them anyway. Because I did goof up in a video in my Path to the Pronus episode number 12, where I tried to hide my Grand Exchange offers, but I sort of derped and you guys saw it. So you probably know what those items are, but nevertheless, hoping for a good recovery in the next episode. 133 mil is not bad, despite that 44 mil loss made, and that brings our total up to 648 mil, which is pretty good. So in the next episode, I'm going to try and do a bit more research into long-term sort of merches rather than going by margins. I'm going to be trying to shift my strategy to involve sort of looking at the Grand Exchange history and possibly news about new updates and things like that, to try and do some more intelligent merches and see where we go. But this series generally is a long series because my strategy doesn't involve flipping, it involves merching and long-term flipping, so it's going to take a while between episodes. I'm sorry about that, but I hope you enjoyed this one. It took me a long time to collect everything. I think it involved all the transactions I did between August and October of this year, so I haven't shown you any of my November flips or merches, but that'll be in the next episode. Thanks for watching guys, hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.